All right, guys, today we're going to be looking at the fundamentals of the squat, one of the most important movements you can do in the gym. With the amount of varieties with the squat, today we're going to be looking at the high bar and low bar barbell back squat. An essential movement you should be doing whether you're trying to gain strength, lose weight, gain muscle, you can name it. You need to be performing this movement either with the barbell or some other type of equipment. It is your bread and butter lower body movement. With the squat, we're obviously working most of our leg muscles. Squats will look different from person to person depending on their body type. We'll dumb it down just to 2 so you guys get an idea of it. If we have someone with very short femurs, we're gonna see them a little bit more upright in the squats through the movement. If we have someone with long femurs, we might see them a little bit more bent over with the movement. So along with femur length, the anatomy of our hips play a role as well. That's gonna depict if you're gonna be squatting with toes forward or toes pointed out. The whole point of this is not to chase that perfect squat form you might see on Instagram and just play with what you got and use mobility to work on areas that you need improvement with. Starting up with the high bar squat, how we want to set it up. We want to have the barbell on top of our traps and our shoulder blades squeezed together the entire time. A good cue is almost pulling that bar into you so it doesn't push you around. Stance width is going to be very individual. Moving down the chain, we want to have active hips through this movement. A little bit of pressure laterally will help you a long way in keeping the knees tracking over the toes and not over the pinky. With the feet, we want an even pressure. Think about having a foot tripod, your big toe, edge of the side of the foot, and your heel. So descending with the squat should happen initially from the hips and then the knees should follow. Imagine having someone with a rope around your waist pulling you backwards and a rope around your knees pulling you forwards. Ideally, we want to keep the barbell with that weight in the middle of our body, in our center of gravity the entire time. Along with the braced core, coming up in the movement, think about driving your neck and your head back into the bar to avoid tipping over. Set up for the low bar. We're gonna put that barbell just above our rear delts, or a true low bar would be right across our rear delts. Right away, we're gonna have a little bit more of a pitch forward and the weight's gonna feel a lot more in the heels. With the low bar squat, we're trying to capitalize on using our hips, hamstrings, and our back to complete the squat. The descent with the low bar should still initiate from the hips and follow from the knees. Typically with a low bar squat, your stance may be a bit wider to incorporate more posterior chain with that bent over position. So comparisons with the high bar and low bar. With high bar, we're looking at mainly quadricep strength and way more of an upright posture. Looking at low bar, we're trying to use more hips, hamstrings, and a little bit of back with that movement. Sport specific, the high bar is used heavily for weightlifters as it carries over directly to what they compete in, the clean and jerk and the snatch, both movements requiring them to be extremely upright. Low bar is used a lot more often with powerlifters as they use more muscle with the movement to lift more weight in the squat. So all that aside, if you're a newbie in the gym, try to push your high bar as much as you can and almost earn the right to start squatting low bar. So common areas that are neglected that lead to improper form, such as not hitting depth or any types of pains in the body: ankle, hips, and upper back. We're gonna look at 3 things to do to strengthen each area so you guys keep hitting depth and keep getting strong. First one on the list is gonna be seated tib raises with a little bit of rotation. You can use this with a dumbbell or a lacrosse ball. Try to get your foot over it and over and over. Next up, with the hips, hip cars will give you full range with the hip, capitalizing on hip flexion as well as internal and external rotation. And lastly, we'll be doing prone dowel raises behind the head to really force that thoracic extension in the upper back. So hopefully you found today's video useful. Hit me up with any questions and I'll see you guys in the next one.